Welcome to Leads and Leverage, Real Estate Team Leader Lounge, where success in real estate meets passion-driven leadership. I'm your host, Tyler Gibson. I'm an entrepreneur, real estate team leader, and investor, and I'm thrilled to have you join us in the ultimate hub for real estate excellence. In this exclusive lounge, we're diving deep into strategies, tactics, and stories that fuel the success of real estate teams. Whether you're a seasoned pro looking to take your leadership skills to new heights or an aspiring entrepreneur ready to build your own powerhouse team, this podcast is your go-to resource for insider insights and actionable advice. Get ready to hear from top experts, industry pioneers, and real-world achievers who are making waves in the real estate world. We'll explore the best practices, share invaluable lessons learned, and equip you with tools you need to thrive in today's competitive market. Welcome to the lounge, where leaders are made and success is earned. Come on in to the Real Estate Team Leader Lounge. Hello and welcome to another episode of Leads and Leverage, the Real Estate Team Leader Lounge. I'm so excited to be joined by Jim Sheils today from St. Augustine, Florida. Jim, thanks for being here with me today.
Hey, Tyler, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about what you're doing and the team that you've built. So give me a little bit of, and for the audience, tell us a little bit about your real estate team and your business and what it kind of looks like today. And if you want, how long you've been in the business and a short story of the evolution.
Yeah, sure. I've actually been a real estate investor in the real estate industry for almost 26 years now. Started in California. I was more on the investor side always. I would buy old fixer-uppers, fix them up, sell them or rent them out. Started working with investors, came to California, left California and came to Florida about 20 years ago and worked on bulk foreclosures for a long time. But then about 10 years ago for our investor clients who were buying property with us, instead of being hired to renovate properties for them, we began to build new construction. And that's our current business model now. We are in 12 different markets in Florida. Building single-family homes, duplexes, and quads. We offer our own in-house financing. We have a team of over 120 people, from property management to property counselors who help facilitate the deals for our investor clients to our building teams. And again, we're in about 12 different markets. We have about a little over $900 billion under management now through our property management. And again, our focus is only new construction now. So that's our team focus and what we do.
Fascinating. I have so many questions.
Oh,
so it's fascinating that you made that shift into only doing new construction. What was some of the reasoning behind that?
You know, I did rehabs for years on older properties. And when we experimented with the new construction about a decade ago, we found there is a larger barrier to entry once to get into new construction. But once you're in, there's less headaches, less unpleasant surprises, better areas that we could build in and have long-term rentals for ourselves, for our investors in better areas. The maintenance and repairs plummeted. I mean, it just plummeted. And not only just in those first 3 years, but now going out 10 years, we can look at a 10-year span. It's much better. And the tenancy times tripled. So our average tenant would stay about 13 months. Now it's a little over 3 years. So the new construction, I have hung up my rehab shoes for the most part about 8 years ago. And the new construction is all we will focus on. We don't actually offer any sort of fixer-upper properties to our clients anymore.
So, this show's all about leads and leverage. And a lot of times for agents, you create leverage through bringing on other people to your team and building out that team. So what does your team look like today?
We have a pretty vast team, from land acquisition to construction to, obviously when you get to our size, our team has to have a whole accounting department, legal, most with your team. We have property counselors. So our counselors are, a lot of them are seasoned investors themselves that have invested in real estate. They've worked with our clients for years, helping them build portfolios. They're kind of the trusted advisor, where people come to us, they develop a relationship with one of our property counselors, and we might not be a match for them. Our property might not be a match, and we try to direct them somewhere else. But if we're a match, we can help kind of set a game plan of what are you wanting to do? What are your capacities, and how can we lay out a plan to look out for the next 3 to 5 years? Because too many investors look out for the next 6 months. And that's really not the way to look at planting the seeds of a strong rental portfolio. So we have 7 counselors that help work with our people. And right now, so you know, Tyler, we have a little over 1,000 active investors. So we stay busy.
Wow.
And obviously a whole property management team to help manage those properties.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of the folks that I talk to that come on the show, they run sales teams, and a lot of times they're focused on the retail sales market, regular buyers and sellers, people buying and selling their primary residences. You mentioned that you strictly focus on working with investors
For the most part, yes.
Have you always worked with investors, or was there a point where you shifted?
Always. And we do sell retail properties. You know, it's good to have retail sales going around our sales, to be checking on comps, but our focus is definitely investors. And here's something, you know, I've heard that a lot, Tyler, with people saying, oh, I don't want to work with investors. The simple math equation that I saw was a homeowner will buy one home probably an average of every 7 years. An investor might buy 1 or 2 homes a year for 5 years. And when you look at that volume, I am an investor. That's how I began. I always did just my own deals. I didn't start working with other investors for at least 10 years into my career, probably 12 years into my career. And what I found was investors were less emotional. They were looking more for different fundamentals. Yeah, solid property, of course. And we've gotten really picky on the areas that we'll now build in. But you know, the investors, I just could speak their language. And they had less emotion, and they did higher volume. You know, the average investor with us buys 3 to 8 properties, and they refer people. And I'm sure, yep, you get your referrals on the retail side, but the investor groups, you know, if they're in an investor club or part of some sort of learning group, you know, that can spread like wildfire. And I think that's why we've been able to, you know, amount such a large group of investors we're working with.
Yeah. I think the biggest complaint that I hear from agents that have thought, or that have said they don't want to work with investors, is that investors waste a lot of their time. Well, right. I don't know if you've heard that before. What's
well,
what would be your response to that, or what are your thoughts on that notion that investors just waste an agent?
Yeah, there's an avatar of investor that was like me when I first started out, right? I didn't have a lot of money, and I had a lot of time and a lot of capacity for rejection. So I would just make offers that would, you know, really tick off agents or whatever and be lowball offers. And I didn't have a lot of money. And so that's not really the avatar buyer we work with. The person I was 25 years ago, I appreciate who I was 25 years ago, but that's just not us. I mean, the minimum required investment to build a portfolio with us is $80,000. So you have to have some financial resource. And I think if in one thing with agents, again, with teams, if they just, same way they screen their retail buyers, that they screen their investors. If that investor says, I got to get something at 60 cents on the dollar, I don't have a lot of money, blah, 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 I got to find financing once you do it. Well, then, you know, God bless them. I hope they do well. And I've been there, but that's not who you should really focus on. But there are solid people that say, hey, I've got a great job. I've got a great career. I've got a great business. I know I need to be involved in real estate. And if you can answer those questions and say, well, hey, you know, if you're interested in investment, you know, there's a new construction model that has its own in-house financing, several mortgage points, percentages below what the average mortgage. They include management. They've got a long track record, very solvent, lots of references. You've just solved their problem. And whether that's us or someone else. And so an investor with money who says, well, I can easily write that check for 80, 160, 250, whatever it is, to build a portfolio. And there's people out there like that. You're doing them a favor, but you're screening them up front. What are their abilities? Not just your abilities to solve the problem. What are their abilities to actually perform? And I think if in retail agents or teams would just screen their investors a little better and make sure they're serious and not just trying to poke around for this pie in the sky, needle in the haystack miracle deal that gets in at 50 cents on the dollar, owner finance or whatever it is. I think you screen a little better. You can start to pull some people out of the woodwork that'll be easy to work with, appreciative. And if you plug into a system like ours, you can really up your volume.
Yeah, 100%. We get those calls from time to time. People they want something 60 cents on the dollar, minus repairs, creative financing, and they want me to help find the contractors on that. Usually my response is, that's great. That sounds like a great deal. If I found it, I'd probably try to take it down myself.
Exactly.
But would you want to partner with me on the deal? You say you got some cash, right? And usually they say no, thank you, and that gives me a pretty good indication of what type of investor they are, where they're at, right? And we just I think what you said is you sort, right, as people come through, and you start to have conversations. You qualify and sort. You put them in different buckets.
Yeah,
who you're going to follow up with, or what kind of cadence, and that sort of thing. Let's talk about where you find those people, right? Where do you get leads, or how do you find people that would meet that kind of avatar, that kind of investor that has good income, looking to diversify their portfolio, and looking for guidance from an agent?
Yeah, we find them where, first of all, we educate. Like, we have education, I think, is the key to attracting the right investors. So I'm on a lot of podcasts, do a good amount of talks. My wife and I released our second book, which did really well, went up to USA Today best-selling books, excuse me, about our real estate journey. And those things help when you offer education to help educate investor buyers. That's super helpful. So we have our own marketing arm for that. We also team up with other educators, big podcasters, education groups that are teaching the fundamentals of real estate investing. And ultimately, their clients might say, like, if they're out in Central California, they say, yeah, I'm in. This makes sense. Gosh, but our backyard stinks and the landlord laws are terrible. What do I do? And so we team up with them to say, hey, we're a legitimate option for you. Maybe you should look at that.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I know that a lot of agents, maybe they haven't worked with investors before. They may not have that kind of authority to teach and be on podcasts and things like that. What would you suggest to those people that maybe are just on the front end of getting started trying to help investors?
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of agents now that we have sales partnership agreements with. They send us the people. Again, they don't have to have all the knowledge. That's where they can lean on us. Like, if an agent works with us, they don't have to explain the contracts. They don't have to go through the numbers. They don't have to line up the inspections, the repairs. There's no repairs with the new construction up front.
Right.
I had that with my old ones. Holy cow. But you don't have to do any of that. You can just understand the flow of our program, or someone likes ours, explain it, make sure that they have a track record, they're solvent, all the things. But once you've vetted them, you don't have to be an investing expert. You're just saying, hey, we found a good solution you might want to look at. And then our internal team, our counselors, take it from there and just keep that salesperson involved and up to date. But they don't have to pitch those hard things. They don't have to explain the numbers. They want to understand the general flow of how our system works. But we kind of take that pressure off of them, and we deliver that part of the educating and consulting for them. But they still get paid as a normal agent.
Yeah, I love that. So if I'm engaged in a conversation with somebody and they happen to mention something about, wanting to diversify, maybe get into real estate, what would be a good way for me or somebody else that's listening to this call to kind of pitch the idea of building something as a rental property, very quickly, that they could just to pique somebody's interest and then maybe suggest a three-way call with somebody from your team? What would you say would be a good kind of elevator pitch or one line?
Yeah, let me just back up too on the new construction. New construction can be very risky. If you're buying a piece of land, You're hiring a contractor, you're taking out a construction loan, which are tedious. They can be expensive. They can become an issue if you have them out for too long. You don't have to do any of that when you're working with us. In fact, we're on what's called a continual build cycle, Tyler. So we're building on our own dime. So a lot of times You want a new construction duplex, let's say in Palm Coast. Let's pick a market right between you and I. You want that.
Yeah.
Normally with a new construction, you would have to put up a deposit and wait 10 months for it to be built, right? You're not doing any of that here, and you're not getting a construction loan. We're building on our dime, and we're COing properties every day. So properties are getting their certificate of occupancy every day. And you can pick, say, oh, we have a few duplexes that are just closing up. Some of these already have tenants. And so you can close on a finished new construction property, not waiting in that pre-construction period in 30 days with us. And
Wow.
So, yeah, there's no long building period. We're building on our own dime. We're taking that risk off. You just step in with a permanent load that 95% of people use us with our in-house financing because we're beating the market by so much. But for someone who's interested, if you have someone, a great starting point is they can just go to jjplaybook.com. That's a kind of an intro website to who we are, or southernimpressionhomes.com. They go to our two websites and see this program and say, hey, this is the program where we're at. What I always encourage is we're very serious about protecting people who refer, make sure because we want those agents to get credit. But that's how you introduce, and we can set a non-obligation call with them and their client and our property counselor if they prefer, because they all work as a team. But that would be the starting point. And again, for anyone who's serious, we do send out a free digital copy of our Amazon book that we've had success selling that in Barnes and Noble. So you can get that, because we're not in the business of selling books. We're in the business of educating and helping people build rental portfolios.
That's awesome. So if you're an agent listening to this, I'd suggest you go get the book. Try to at least get a book for free, because learn, especially if you don't know investing, if you don't know the power of having passive income through real estate. And honestly, every agent should be buying properties to put in their rental portfolios so they can retire someday.
I agree. I believe every person, especially who's involved in real estate, high performing realtors who don't own at least 3 to 5 rental properties, I tell them they're cheating themselves. They're so close to the gold, and they want to have something for when they stop. And you don't need, that's where I say you don't need 100 properties. I go into my book where I was scaled up on tons of properties. And now today I have way less properties with more equity and more cash flow, because they're higher quality, better positioned. So you don't need a ton. You just need to plant some seeds now, and you'll be pretty happy you did in 5 to 10 years. That is the norm.
Yeah, I love that. What's I want to respect your time. We've been at this for a few minutes now, but what's one piece of advice that you would give to folks that would be listening to this audience, whether it's related to their sales business or investing?
Yeah, if you just take a little time to get educated on what investors want and their parameters of what they're looking for, and you can find outlets like us, you can expand your pipeline dramatically. Again, remember, an average retail buyer buys one house every 7 years. An investor could buy several properties within a few years. That's a big difference, and it's something you want to stay open to. The second thing for your clients and yourself, oh, well, I need to get 50 properties. That's just not true. That's just not true. You need to own less of better quality, but own something. I've not met anyone from when I first started 25 years ago, when I first got into this and was doing it, and there were other starter investors that they just never had the gumption to make offers and do it. Every one of them that I've stayed in touch with, without a doubt, regrets it, that they never got into real estate. 25 years later. Time, if history repeats itself, is on your side. There's going to be cycles. There's going to be ups and downs. Absolutely. But there's never been a 7-year period of time in the US, even at 2008, where it was bad to hold real estate, because the cycles go through and then it returned on an upward swing. That's how the history has always marked it. So time is on your side, or it's not on your side if you decide not to. Like the people I went into my first classes with 25 years ago that thought, man, this makes sense. But what did they say then? Oh, it's too expensive. It's too much work. Well, they're having to work more now than they used to back then, and I'm having to work less. And that's what I want to see for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Well, tell us one more time, where's the best place for people to get a hold of you if they have questions, either about buying new construction or referring clients to you?
Go to jjplaybook.com. That's a great page with lots of information, free download of the book, and it'll talk about our business, Southern Impression Homes. and all of our building programs that we do for our investor clients.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know that you and I are definitely going to talk some more.
Great.
Because I've got some investors that would probably love to take a look at some of your
Love
products.
to help them out.
So thank you. Awesome. Well, and thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of Leads and Leverage. I hope to catch you all next time.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Leads and Leverage. I hope you found our conversation insightful and actionable. Remember, success in real estate is not just about transactions. It's about the relationships you build, the teams you lead, and the impact you make in the lives of others. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay connected with our community of real estate leaders and entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring you more valuable content and guests. Don't forget to visit our website, gpghome.com/leads and leverage for additional resources, show notes, and exclusive updates. You can also follow me on Instagram at real_Tyler Gibson to join the conversation and connect with like-minded individuals. See you next week.